Welcome back to another exciting episode. Your wish has been granted. I am your lovely host, Miss Disney, as we talk about another amazing episode of Disney Animated and Remake. In case you haven't noticed by my lovely prop right here, still haven't figured out? Then how about my lovely outfit? Still nothing? Okay. I'm thinking, maybe this will jog your memory. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend like me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at one of my favorite Disney princesses. We are going to be talking about Aladdin, the remake Aladdin that came out in May 2019. This featured the all-amazing animated version of Aladdin in 1992. I have to honestly tell you guys that when I first heard that this beautiful remake was happening, I was both excited, but also kind of a little nervous. And I think a lot of you know, and quite frankly, the entire world was nervous about this. I was nervous because the role of Genie in 1992 was played by the legendary Robin Williams. May you rest in peace. And when they were talking about remaking Aladdin, I was nervous because Robin Williams was a genius, a real comedian of my childhood, one of my favorite comedians. And when he passed away, we all know what happened, but I'm going to be respectful here. When I heard of his passing, I was completely heartbroken, and I had no idea what was going through his mind. So, quite frankly, when they announced the remake, I was like, who's gonna fill in his shoes? It's pretty big shoes. And when I found out that Will Smith was actually playing Genie, I was like, he's great and all, but will he match to Robin Williams' standards as a Genie? And come to find out, when they did an interview for Will Smith, he was just as scared to play Genie too, because, let's face it, Robin Williams did a fantastic job as the Genie, and it really is big shoes to fill in. He was afraid that he wouldn't match the Genie's standards, but quite honestly, he did an amazing job, and it's because if you really look into it, and if you look at some of the Diamond Edition of Aladdin, they did a documentary that actually featured Genie. Like, the creators of Aladdin talked about Robin Williams as his role as Genie, and how 97% of Genie's roles were actually improvised by Robin Williams himself. Like, he will do as the script says, but majority of it he will improvise. He does so many impersonations that he basically created the 1992 Genie, and it became the character that we all grew up and love, and it expanded to the point of the sequel, Return of Jafar. Now, granted, in the sequel of Return of Jafar, Robin Williams didn't play the Genie this time. There were some complications with his contract with Disney, so they actually had someone that was just as good as Williams, but quite frankly, I think Robin Williams is a much better Genie than this guy did. I don't even know his name, quite frankly, but happy to announce that in 1996, there was a threequel called Aladdin, the King of Thieves, where Robin Williams does return as his role as Genie. Oh my god, I was so happy. And quite frankly, growing up with Aladdin and being a six-year-old then, that was pretty amazing. And I have to say, I completely Truly loved it, especially since it kind of revolved around my life, except for the fact that, unlike Jasmine, I wasn't cooped up by force. I kind of chose to be cooped up most of my life, and it was awesome. But as much as I love the animated 1990s Aladdin series, I have to say I truly do love the remake of Aladdin, mainly because it was dead on with the story. It did actually add a few features, like in the animated, it never explained why Jafar wanted to take over the kingdom of Agrabah. Yes, I'm starting to sound like Naomi Scott, who played Jasmine. But in the anime, it never explained why Jafar wanted to take over the kingdom. We just know that he just controls the Sultan and does whatever he wants. But what's the real purpose? Whereas in the 2019, Jafar actually, there was a little bit of details that went along with it. As we know, with his interaction with Aladdin, when Aladdin was captured in the palace and was taken prisoner to the Cave of Wonders, Jafar and Aladdin had this interaction to where we learned that Jafar was a street rat himself. And he basically built himself up to where he went from the streets to being an advisor or the royal vizier to the Sultan of Agrabah. So it was pretty amazing of how we actually start. And a little bit more into that we learned that he came from another kingdom. And in this one, he wants to rule over Agrabah so he can destroy the kingdom of Shiraba, which is Jasmine's mom's home kingdom. So obviously Jafar wants more of revenge rather than power. Well, I guess it's safe to say that maybe he wants power more, because that little phrase that Iago and everybody kept saying, that he will be only second best, that kind of triggered something. So maybe in Jafar's past in Shiraba, he was always second to something. Like he was always empowered or not empowered. He was always second to maybe certain things. Like, as we all know, royal viziers are powerful people, but not as powerful as a sultan. So I think it's clear to say that he was still second best, and he wants to be number one, which is why during that final battle, when Aladdin was taunting Jafar in order to trick him, it triggered something, and it made him make that final wish of being a genie. He wanted to be the most powerful. He wanted to be number one. But he didn't think of the consequences, and that's where the creativity came in for Aladdin, because let's face it, he's a street rat. He may not be book smart, but he is streetwise, and I think that's what made him the diamond in the rough. Another feature that I like about that is we got to see more interaction with Aladdin and Jasmine than in the 1992 movie, because we learned that through their interaction that they share a connection. Both of them lost family members that they love dearly. They both want a chance to be someone they're not. Where in Jasmine's, oh my god, speaking of Jasmine, I know I'm going all, as you know, I love Aladdin now, or at least this remake of it. They did a fantastic job with Jasmine. They actually gave her more development. Like, we know for a fact that Jasmine is very independent. She's very stubborn. She does not hold to tradition as much, because let's face it, they can be a little ridiculous, especially where the princess has to marry a prince in order for their kingdom to thrive. So that part I did not like so much, but I did love the fact that we learned more about Jasmine. Like, Jasmine doesn't want to think of marriage at the time. She wants to think of her kingdom. She wants to leave, not for the sake of being cooped up, but she wants to leave so she can get to know her people. Because in the past, Jasmine and her family used to travel around the streets of Agrabah and get to know the people. That was until the assassination of her mother, or at least the murder of it. They didn't explain whether it's assassination, but I'm pretty certain it probably was. Or maybe it was a trap triggered by Jafar. Anyway, so the past happened, and Jasmine, and because of that little event, the Sultan basically kept Jasmine safeguarded for pretty much the rest of her life. And it's because of that the reason why she's been trying to get out more is she wants to get to know the city, because she wants to help her people and she wants to make her kingdom thrive. And that's quite honestly what makes a great ruler, is the fact that a ruler must get to know their people in order to understand their needs, their wants, figure out ways to get them thriving again, especially in their trades. And yeah, and even in the palace, we learned that Jasmine's really smart. She's read every book, she's looked at every map. Her need of wanting to get out more just made her want to thrive to be a better ruler, not just for the sake of marriage. I mean, she understands that laws are laws, but she does not want to go through with this just for the sake of, hi, Mr. Disney.
Hello.
That was Mr. Disney. But what I love best about Jasmine is the fact that this was more than just a marriage between a princess and a prince. Jasmine wanted to change that rule so she can rule Agrabah to be a better sultana. She wanted the best for her people. She wanted to help them. Especially since she learned, well, she knew for the time that through Jafar's ruling, or not even ruling, but you know what I mean, through Jafar's guidelines, that Agrabah just went like, it was terrible, and it was completely different than what she remembered. And that's what I love about the Jasmine. And another thing that I love about Jasmine is she finally gets a song of her very own, a solo. You know, in the 1992, the only song that Jasmine sings is A Whole New World. Do not get me wrong. It is the most beautiful song ever. When I first heard it, I practically cried. Mainly because I was 2 years old. I'm not going to lie. I literally was 2 years old when the 1992 came out. But the fact that in A Whole New World, in this remake, it made me cry even more because it was so beautiful. And they got to see, they didn't travel the world like in the 1992 movie made. I mean, come on, let's be a little realistic. Carpet's not that fast. I don't see a jetpack on him. And as much as I enjoy the Disney magic, I don't think even Disney magic can make him travel that far in under one night. But whereas, at least in the remake, Aladdin showed Jasmine a portion of the world, not just outside of Agrabah, but as well as the view of Agrabah, because she even said so herself. It's her favorite view of all time. She loves her people. She wants to see them happy. She wants to see them thriving. And it's actually because of that the song Speechless was the perfect song for Jasmine, because in the beginning, she was overpowered by Jafar's words and Agrabah's laws that she felt speechless. She felt like her words weren't getting through. But when Jafar took over and practically had her imprisoned in her own room, that's where she knew that her voice had to overpower her. She had to use her voice to make a difference. And it did. She spoke up. She spoke up to Hakim, the royal palace guard, in order to get through his mind that the crown does not control you, or does not make you do anything. It's the person behind the crown that got to know you, that practically knew you probably since the time you were in the palace. And the fact that Jasmine knew Hakim, she even said so herself, and I think if I remember this word from word, you were just a boy when you first came to the palace. Your father worked in the palace, and you grew to the point where you became the captain of the guard. And she used her voice. She was becoming a sultanah. She became a leader there. I mean, quite honestly, I think above all, Jasmine was the first remade princess to actually take charge of something. I mean, no offense to Cinderella, no offense to Belle, but quite frankly, I wanted to clap in theaters when Jasmine was done with her speech. It was truly remarkable, and that's what I love about this remake, is because Jasmine was more than just an independent princess. She actually took charge. She was proving herself to be a strong-willed character, and she actually developed from a oh, hi Quinn. She spoke up from being a meek little princess that only has to follow the rules in order to get somewhere. She actually spoke up and proved to her father that she was meant to be a leader, a sultan, a ruler to her own kingdom, to make a difference. And she truly did. And it was truly the best, and it really made my heart soar. But I am going to be honest with you, as much as I was happy to actually see Aladdin more than a first times, I didn't want to at first, because I'm going to be honest, the month that it came out was literally the worst month of my life, and I know that a lot of people may say things otherwise, and I do not want to go into details, but let's put it this way. Mr. Disney was taken from me for a whole month, and it led me into a dark time to where not even Disney wanted to cheer me up. But thankfully, through the power of my friends and family, I got through, and my best friends in the entire world actually bought me the tickets to see Aladdin, like on the preview night, because they know that I love seeing it that night it comes out. They were willing to push their schedules out just to make me happy, and I was reluctant, but my parents and my brother, to my surprise, they pushed me. They said, "You've been looking forward to this. Go. Mr. Disney would want you to have a good time with friends, and this is a movie that you were looking forward to." And during the whole movie, I kept thinking about Mr. Disney nonstop, especially since I found out that Will Smith and Mr. Disney have something in common. Here's a little fun fact. Will Smith has the same birth date as Mr. Disney, so if you don't believe me, look it up, and I guarantee you that they share the same birthday, and that's probably why Will Smith is Mr. Disney's favorite actor of all times. Hi, Quinny. But yeah, especially with the whole new world, it was so romantic and beautiful, and I think out of all the Disney couples, by far, Aladdin and Jasmine kind of relate to us in a way. Not from where you think. We did not grow up poor, or I did not grow up rich. I mean, let's face it. I live a middle life. I live a middle life. There's no rich lives or anything, but what really affected me the most was the ending, where Aladdin wished for Genie's freedom, I kept thinking in my mind, if I were given a lamp, all I want was for Mr. Disney to be free again. Stop it. Sorry, Quinn's trying to get the lamp. But all I wanted was Mr. Disney. And sure enough, that very day, when my friends and I were at the mall, I encountered this very special lamp in the Disney store. What makes this special is the fact that it's kind of a game to where if you look up a little closely, you see these three lamps right here? It's kind of like one of those gamble slots to where if you push on the button on there, you get like a match set. The way that this game worked is that if you get 3 Jafar staffs, your wish will not come true. Your definitely will not come true. If none of the pictures match, your wish won't come true. But if you get all 3 magic lamps, then your wish will come true. And when I was in the store, I pushed on it one time, just one time, and I wished with all my heart. I made my wish, and when I looked at it, these 3 lamps popped up. And it's ever since then, I kept it this. When I saw this, I immediately got it. I was that type of person to where I believed with all my heart that my wish was going to come true. And it eventually did. Like right at the end of the month, my wish did came true. It took time and patience, but it eventually came true, and I was happy, and I have not touched it ever since. I wanted to send a picture of it to Mr. Disney, but I couldn't, and it seemed silly at the time, but yeah. So, but at least on the plus note, when Mr. Disney did return, we actually did watch Aladdin, and he fell in love with it just as much as I did, and it's mainly because Will Smith. He loves, like I said, he loves Will Smith a lot. He's an awesome actor, and quite frankly, he truly is. I even enjoyed Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as much as the next person, so... Diva! I had to. I love it so much. I know that sounds weird. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I think between the 1992 and the 2019 Aladdin, I will have to say Aladdin because there was a lot more to the story. To be honest, the beginning of it seemed a little fast, but eventually, as soon as the Cave of Wonders happened, a lot more was developed, and it felt like the story really was taking its time, and we were getting to know the characters, and really getting a good laugh out of it. I love the one scene where Aladdin claimed that he did not make his first wish. He played a trick on Genie, and they did a little bit of a rewind. Like an actual rewind. We see Genie in the theater, being in the audience, and we actually see Abu holding on to the lamp more than Aladdin was, and he's like, that monkey, we can't do that again. I died laughing. I literally died laughing. I even died laughing when Aladdin wanted to find a Babwa on the map. Genie played a cartoon Genie of himself and created Disneyland, or maybe it was Disney World. I'll have to look back on that, but I'm pretty sure it was Disneyland, but maybe it was Disney World because of Fantasyland, but either way, it was a Disney park, and I was like, they really did a number on Disney references there, which, to be honest, Will Smith did a fantastic job. He did his own improvisation and everything. I think Robin Williams would be so proud that Will Smith played as himself while playing Genie. So I am happy to see that, and I was really thrilled about Aladdin being the whole movie Aladdin. Actually, I even love that we got into development of Jafar. Like, we learned more about Jafar. Like, the fact that he was born a street rat, he rose up to power using tricks and magic and all kinds of nonsense. To be fair, that's kind of cheating. I know, it's so bad. And I just love the development of, I definitely love the development of Jasmine. I mean, she's definitely developed more than the animated movie did, and it was honestly better than the animated. But do not get me wrong, I love the animated movies, and I love the sequels as much as the next person. I especially love the King of Thieves, because I actually get to see Aladdin's father, Kasim, and the fact that Robin Williams returned as Genie, so that really made my childhood. I'm not even gonna lie, and I wish I had a picture. Wish I had this picture, but apparently, when I was a kid, I was Jasmine as a bride. Shocker. So yeah, it was. You could tell that I loved Aladdin growing up. It was one of my favorite Disney princess movies of all time, and I am happy to announce that they just did a green light for not only a spin-off of Prince Anders, which I do not understand at all why they would do that. The prince that tried to woo Jasmine in the remake, I do not understand that at all, but it is what it is. But I don't know. But I am happy to announce that they are in the green light to making a sequel of the remake Aladdin, and honestly, I am actually really excited about the sequel too, because being as how they did create the Aladdin sequels, and let's face it, they did create an Aladdin series, that I don't see why they couldn't make a sequel to the remake of Aladdin, especially since the last line that Jafar ever said was, "This is not over, boy. I will be back. Or I will have my revenge." Something like that. I mean, let's face it. This just shows that it's not over. Especially since, even in the animated, Jafar never said a line that states that "I'll be back" or something like that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to. What I found out is that it's not confirmed, but I think my sources have indicated that. Okay. Sorry, guys. Quinn just wants to say hi. My sources indicate that for the remake sequel, they're not going to do like the exact movie of Jafar, the Return of Jafar, and not exactly the King of Thieves. Rumor has it that they're going to do a good mixture, which means nothing. Which means that in this sequel, we may actually get to see Aladdin's family, or maybe just the father, because even though Aladdin says that he lost his family when he was younger, you honestly never know. Maybe he thought he lost them, but something happened to make them come back. And I can definitely picture Jafar coming. I really am hoping that they use some elements from both movies, but mainly I do want to see the Return of Jafar, because I want to see what the revenge is, especially since now we know that Genie is human in this remake, which is a huge difference from the 1992. Genie is no longer bound to the power of the magic lamp. But the difference between the 1992 and the remake, 92, he was just free from the lamp. He still has his magic powers and everything. In this one, he's human. He marries Dahlia, and they have a couple kids, and he becomes a mariner, traveling the world, just like he wants. He wanted more than anything to be human, to be free. So it's really interesting. I'm going to find this very interesting to see how they're going to do this with the genie being a human now and Jafar being an all-powerful genie. What are they going to do? I really want to know, and I honestly cannot wait until the sequel actually comes out. I really am excited about this. I was really happy to know about the sequel to it. Yeah, so I'm just really excited. Okay, so that is all the time that I have for this episode. Wow, it actually lasted a lot longer than I thought. I guess you could tell that I really love this movie just as much as I love Beauty and the Beast. Okay, so if you have a favorite moment of Aladdin, please comment below. You may have to give it a day or so depending on how comments work exactly. But if you have a favorite moment of Aladdin, or if you have a favorite Will Smith moment, feel free to comment below. If you like this episode, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and you get to view more of my episodes. And as you know, the episodes are about ready to dim down because I'm pretty much almost caught up now. There's only a couple more remakes that I have seen that are actually out to talk about. So, yeah. But do not worry, my episodes, I will still make more episodes, just not on a weekly basis. So, I hope that you have a fantastic week, and I hope that you have a magical time as we're slowly starting to open up from quarantine life. So, until next time, have a magical day.
And do it for Dale.
I have no idea what he just said. I honestly do not know what he just said. But until then, I hope you experience a whole new world. Bye, guys.